The drivers survived the small confines of Lime Rock Park and finally get to stretch their legs out again. But Phillip Island will be a bit of a different test. An incredible variety of types of corners dot this circuit, requiring technical ability and versatility from the pilots. Who will prove the best down under? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 4 of Flying Husky Racing, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Phillip Island is a circuit that most Australian fans will know and love, DJ, but our American viewers might still be unenlightened. So why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, Joe, you hit the nail on the head. It is a very, very corner circuit with a lot of different places to make mistakes and to get an overtake done. Good passing into Honda, maybe down into MG. Some of the danger areas people are going to have to watch out for: Siberia, the Southern Loop, as well as the exit from MG going through turn 10 and 11.
Absolutely. And of course, we can't help but want to mention our sponsors here on this broadcast. The Norsled, of course, is a nonprofit animal welfare organization dedicated to rescuing, rehabilitating, and finding homes for unwanted, abandoned, and abused husky dogs. Today, every Flying Husky Racing track day or car event benefits Norsled with a portion of the proceeds donated to them. Even if you can't adopt, you can still help and ensure care for these amazing animals through your support. Save a Husky. For more information, contact Todd Curtis through email at todd@flyinghusky.racing.
Flying Husky Racing is a car club based in the Pacific Northwest that delivers premium track days and car events for automotive enthusiasts. FHR is dedicated to safety, development, and building community among members and participants. Find out more on the web at flyinghusky.racing. Flying Husky Racing, track days are the best days.
And of course, we have race details for our event as well, so let's run down those real quick. We are in round 4, and as always, we are running the Dallara Formula 3 cars. Now, it is a 15-minute qualifier here with a 25-minute race that the drivers will be running. They do have fast repairs that will be available, and they might need it here as it is a very difficult track, and damage is easy to come by in a number of places. We are just at the end of that qualifying, and I'm seeing if we have any cars left that are able to complete this last lap. I think Dan Dwyer might be one of those in the number 9, as we've got Michael Broomhead on the provisional pole. There we see Dwyer just to trying to put his first timed lap down as he comes to the line. Is this an out lap? Looks like he might be slowing, so yeah, he unfortunately did not get it in. James Doherty is behind him. He does put a lap down, and it looks like our drivers have run out of time, unfortunately. So let's go through our grid for today. On the pole, as we mentioned, it is Michael Broomhead who starts at the top. Then you've got Nick Horvath starting in second today. Nick Colander will be in P3, and then rounding out the first half of the field, it is Harland Goldburn.
In fifth is going to be Todd Curtis, followed by the first-year drivers not to set a time, Dan Dwyer, and then behind them in row 4, it'll be Jacob Exton and James Doherty.
Now, as for the temperatures today, it's quite hot down under, even with the sea next door to try and cool things off. It's 119 Fahrenheit on the track surface currently. Thankfully, not much wind to throw the drivers around, but that slippery surface, that's going to be a challenge.
It very much is, Joe, and I think it's particularly going to be tricky at the start of the lap. You know, one of the things about Phillip Island that makes it such a wonderful corner, or wonderful track rather, is that right-handed sort of sweeper of Dewan and then down into that elongated 180-degree corner of the southern loop. You've got to really make sure the car is fully under you when you try to go for that area. And if drivers aren't careful, they can very easily find themselves off track going through that corner.
So we are on board with Michael Broomhead. Remember, if you want to get involved in the conversation, hashtag track days are the best days. So make sure and use that on your social media to join the conversation with all the great drivers, fans, and organizers here in Flying Husky Racing. Looks like we just about have everybody out there waiting for Jacob Exton, and it looks like we got them all. We actually, I think, have 9 out there, as one last second joiner is going to be with us today. That is awesome to see, but who will be able to take it all the way to the checkered flag? It's going to be slightly shorter than we anticipated. Apologies. Looks like this is a 20-minute race that they will be running out there today. So somewhat truncated from the typical 25-minute event as they head off behind the Porsche pace car. And some new faces as well, and they seem to be fast, DJ. I see Broomhead and Horvath already locking out the front row.
Most certainly, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, I think. Also, keep an eye on Nicholas Colander there in third. 3 very fast drivers. But I think you cannot ignore the likes of Dan Dwyer there in the back as these drivers make their way through that southern loop I was talking about on their pace lap. Dwyer, normally pretty quick, but wasn't able to set a time down, so we really don't know what his relative pace is.
So big question mark for him. And as we ride on board with Horvath here, looking back at the field today after Lime Rock Park, it's going to feel nice for them to have at least a little bit of space, though they could wind up lapping each other in these 20 minutes as they come down to one of the more popular places to overtake here into Honda. And then we get a lot of elevation change here coming up to Siberia, up to the sort of higher part of the track.
You do indeed. Siberia, a little bit of a cambered corner there, but you want to be late on the accelerator coming out of the corner. Don't want to run the risk of spinning the tires, and it's a very important run up the hill there through that little, it's barely a corner in these open wheelers at turn 7, and then up through the right-hander of Hayshed. It's a really wonderful 1-2 there. Absolutely stunning. And then, of course, the dip down the hill into MG. Joe, don't be surprised if we see a lot of brake dust coming off of those cars. Then it's very easy to lock a tire or two coming down the hill.
No doubt. This is definitely one of the trickier corners in all of racing. A huge plunge blind down over a long corner into a hairpin. But it takes you to the end of the lap where they are now as the Porsche pace car is pulling away, and Broomhead will have control as soon as that's in. Yes, indeed. The pace car has entered pit lane. Broomhead waiting for it as he comes through Swan. Does he give it a long check-up or does he go early? He's definitely keeping them waiting, keeping them guessing. Oh, he's really waiting. Now he goes. The double lot is on it. Green flag is out for round 4 in Flying Husky Racing. And he certainly pulls one over on Nick Horvath, but we're side by side for third. That's Colander to the inside, Goldborn to the outside. But as they swing through Dewan, Colander's got the advantage, and our leader spins. Both of the front row are out in the first corner.
Oh, Joe, right there, that slippery track, and there goes Colander as well off this slippery track, and cold tires catching everybody out here today.
Wow, so suddenly Goldborn finds himself leading the race after 2 corners. And he started from 4th. We'll go back to that in a moment. Oh, and another accident behind him. Big accident as Todd Curtis unfortunately gets into Dan Dwyer. So a number of drivers looking like they'll probably have to take their spare car. And we've got a battle for the lead. Unfortunately, Exton goes wide up through Siberia.
Yeah, that's going to really compromise it coming up here through turn 7 and up into Hayshed and Lukey Heights here, trying to get that car down. He's not really going to be close enough, I would think, to get the pass into MG, but rest assured, these drivers very, very careful. They know what happened to their opponents in front of them. A little bit of a more interior line there from Exton, but ooh, bad exit there from Goldborn.
And so now we have another leader already. Jacob Exton gridded up 7th. He's going to be our leader at the end of the first lap. I don't think anybody predicted this one. And he's going to give a slipstream to Goldborn, but I'm not sure if he's going to be close enough to really do much with it. That is something that is very advantageous on the lap here, this long, long front stretch. But yes, indeed, it looks like Harland only gets to within about 0.7 of a second.
Yeah, now he's going to have to just try to reel him in. There are plenty of places to get that draft working. There you see Exton and Goldborn taking that wide sweep to the outside. Many lines you can take through the southern loop. Now making their way through Stoner, heavy braking into Honda as we drive on board with James Doherty.
Yeah, he's one of the only other ones, I think, who didn't get involved in an accident at the start. And he's sticking with them. Our top 3 separated by 1.5 seconds. But Exton, wow, he's really got some pace. Now that he's gotten clear air, that 7 is suddenly streaking away, already up to 1.2 seconds.
Yeah, it's really impressive, and about 0.7 of a second faster on that opening lap than his opponent. So a really, really good run from him, but he's still got to be careful. Yes, these tires may be up to temperature, Joe, but as you said, with 116-degree track temperature, this track doesn't have a whole lot of grip.
So at the end of lap 2, it'll remain as it was before. Exton leads Goldborn, who leads Doherty. Next one back is Nick Horvath, who's taken his spare car, but he's a distant 30 seconds. He did qualify in 2nd place, so he should have a little bit of a pace advantage, but he's really going to have to push to catch anybody in front of him.
Yeah, he really is. But Horvath, one of the lucky ones there. Yes, he was involved in damage and had to take that spare car, but he was able to make his way back around to the pits. And so that's how he is able to get that big jump.
Still have 7 cars on the lead lap. Nick Colander is the last of those. Looks like Todd Curtis has gone a lap down, so has Donald Gagne. So we take a look at the 382, and there is the double aught of Broomhead, still waiting curiously, and I'm not sure why. Should have just been able to take that spare car and get back out and rolling.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have an answer there for that one, Joe. But we're going to check back in on your leader here, Jacob Exton, holding that gap down to about 1.4 seconds up front.
Yeah, continuing to extend it. And he set the fastest lap of the race last time with the classic Jordan livery from the late 90s on his car, giving him that little bit of extra speed.
It was actually my favorite livery when I was growing up and watching Formula One. I absolutely loved that car and was thrilled beyond belief. It's one of the US GPs when Harold Frentzen managed to get, I forget, podium or points. But good to see that Byton Hornets livery making a comeback here as Exton sets another fastest lap.
So Exton now has it up to 1.6 seconds over Harland. Doherty, interestingly, has not been able to close the gap to the 127. He's been struggling Hasn't lost a whole lot of time, but off goes Harland. He's going to hand over second place, and it's mistakes like that that are going to be costly. As he saws away at the wheel, he does return.
Gotta give him credit on that. Just kept his foot planted even when he went off. Let's check out here exactly what happened. Looks like he just carried a little bit too much speed coming around the southern loop, got out into the kitty litter. And yeah, like I said, as soon as he got onto the grass, he just kept his foot down. That's why that car is twitching back and forth.
And we have a new fastest lap. Nick Horvath is on it. It's a 1:24.7. So there's a 382. He has it down to 25 seconds to the next car up, thanks to Harlan's issue. Cost him a little bit of time. There could be light at the end of the tunnel for our front row starter.
There very well could be, and as we've seen from Goldborn there just a couple laps ago, a mistake could get him even closer up as he goes. So Horvath now just needs to focus on the road ahead of him. Great on board here. You can really see that elevation change like we talked about.
Things are going to get a little bit more interesting early for our leader Exton, because he's already approaching traffic. Nick Colander is about to go a lap down. Now, obviously, there's not too many cars that should play a big factor, but you can never play too loose with that lap traffic. You do have to make sure and give them space so you don't needlessly throw away a win.
Very much so. And remember, now that Nick Colander here has his spare car, and there he's going to do the gentlemanly thing and let him by. So no harm, no foul there. Jacob Exton moves his way past lap traffic.
That incident with Harlan, by the way, made the gap from leader to second place now 4.2. Well, it's going to go even bigger because Doherty just spun. He's off in Siberia. Second place goes back to Goldborn.
Let's jump back and check out the replay here, Joe. This is him coming out of Honda. A little bit of a kink before he gets into, this is coming, it was into Siberia. Looks like he just carried too much speed, was a little too far out to the outside there, got those right side tires into the grass, and that caused the car to spin around.
Oh, and Doherty's off again. Where is this one at? Oh, and both of them are off. Goldborn is off. And here comes the car of Todd Curtis, who is a lap down, just trying to get that back. So that's not for position. This is absolutely helping Nick Horvath. Let's take a look and see what caused both of them to go off at MG.
Well, this is Harlan Goldborn making his way up through Lukey Heights, right through here. Keep it over to the left, and okay, so he brings it down, gets a good line there. Looks like he locked up that front right brake, and that just sent him around. Ooh, hit the gas a little bit too hard when he wasn't fully in traction mode, and I have a sneaking suspicion that the same thing there happened to Doherty.
Yeah, it definitely looked like he went too hard into the corner himself. So the new order is Goldborn second, Doherty third, split by about 2 seconds between them. Horvath has it down to 10 seconds. He's probably thanking his lucky stars that those two have been so mistake prone.
Exactly, right on board with Horvath here. He just has to know what that is. Rest assured, he's looking at his relative. Ooh, a little bit of a lock up there coming through Honda. That's not going to help him, but his pace does seem very, very good here. His best lap, Joe, is about 1.5 seconds faster than Goldborn or Doherty ahead of him.
I think he still holds that fastest lap, because he upped it last time through the 24.2. Credit to Jacob Exton. He's getting on it. He's now has a best of a 24.6, so only about 0.4 off of Horvath's fastest time, considering he started from 7th. That's a great showing from that number 7 car.
Yeah, it really is. You can see the rear end there trying to step out ever so slightly as he continues to go around these cars, looking like they're on absolute rails around the Phillip Island circuit today.
Let's take a look at that battle for second. James still keeping it within 1.5 seconds. He's gained a couple tenths since we last looked, but it's not been huge chunks. At some point, he's going to have to start looking in the mirrors a little bit more, though, because Hovarth continues to chip away, and he can see his rival up ahead of him. Little lockup deep into Honda from Harland. A little smoother from the 8.
Indeed it is, and those lockups really just show you how hard these drivers are pushing here around the circuit. Good line there from Doherty coming out of Siberia, using all of the track and then back again up the hill.
Keeping an eye as well on our leader as we watch these two through Lukey Heights to see what kind of lap time Jacob sets, if he is able to go any quicker. The answer is no. In fact, he lost a bit of time as a 25.3 for him. So up next, Goldborn coming up to Swan as he has 20 seconds and a few tenths to make up to get to the leader. He's going to have to hope for a mistake from that number 7 car at this stage, as we're already halfway through. 25.2, that's the fastest lap personal best there for Goldborn, but still not quick enough. 25.3, also personal best for Doherty. But then you've got Hovarth, a 24.1.
Nick Horvath really putting the pressure on here. He's got that gap down to about 8 seconds right now, just trying to reel in James Doherty ahead of him.
There's a lot of Canadians that have been invited in to come compete, and they are certainly showing some of their United States rivals how it's done out on the track. Can Jacob Eggston keep this up and keep everybody behind him? Horvath is looking more and more likely that he will try and challenge for the podium. Now, whether he gets on it is still a question mark, but he should at least reach those that he is chasing.
Yeah, he should get there in Horvath. It's going to be one of those moments. He has been in full push mode. As you can see, he has gotten around the lap car of Todd Curtis. But with Horvath being in full push mode, it's going to be very interesting to see if he's able to sort of wind it back up when he gets behind Doherty and maybe not have to be full aggressive, try to send it in at a place that may not help him.
Goldborn spun. Goldborn's around. Doherty is back into second. Horvath is coming along with a full head of steam. He's going to go around the outside. And he is through. Was there damage that Harlan got from that one?
Well, let's look at the replay here, Joe, as he makes his way through. This is coming up through Lukey Heights, getting ready to make the dive down to MG. Lines the car up, that in right side lockup again. Starts to get it wound back, just, right side tire on the outside.
Didn't hit anything, it looks like. I think he's okay. Oh, but he's off. Oh, and just as we come back, he had a big off in the southern loop, and that will send him into the pits for his spare car. We are now down to only 2 cars that have not made a visit to pit lane during this race.
Indeed, yeah. Oh, and that can happen coming through the southern loop. That kitty litter out to the outside is an absolute skating rink, and you're carrying so much speed through that corner, it will just drag you out to the outside.
Exton completes another lap with 7 minutes to go. Doherty now absolutely solidly into third, but Horvath has it down to 5 seconds up to him. There's our leader on screen in that 7. Last lap for him, a 24.8, so picking it up once again. Doherty's coming out of Swan. Let's see what the number 8 can do. His fastest is still a 25.3, and it'll stay that way. It's a 26.8 for him. Off the pace, unfortunately, as Horvath does not go quicker, but still competitive at a 24.5.
I mean, that is a full 2 seconds faster than Doherty on that last lap. If I'm James Doherty at this point, I'm starting to sweat a little bit, praying for that clock to start moving faster.
Let's give a mention as well to our last car on the lead lap, Dan Dwyer, still trying to fight back, but it's not looking likely he'll take any spots, as I think he's got something like a minute to the next car, but he's running with a top 5 in that number 9 machine. Just unfortunately did not go his way as things sorted out both in the qualifying and then in the race itself. Make that 4th place because Harlan is still in pit lane.
Yeah, Joe, it's one of the things I really do love about this series is that the drivers just have that I'm going to keep going mentality. Something happens, they get right back on it, and this is exactly why. It's Dwyer up into 4th, definitely going along, but we jump back to Horvath, and yes, that is James Doherty ahead of him as he streaked out of view. Gap now down to just under 4 seconds.
Corner of the screen, a flash of purple said Michael Broomhead Broomhead is now the fastest car on the track with a 24.102 that time. So the double aught, despite being down an eighth and a lap down from the leader, is still pushing his hardest across the line. Horvath with a 24.4 to Doherty's 25.6. Another second, 0.2 chopped away.
Yeah, he just continues to chip away at that gap. 3.5 seconds now with about 4 minutes or just under 5 minutes to go in the race. I think there's a pretty good chance here that Horvath is going to be able to catch him for sure.
If he does, that'll be a great recovery up to second place. And right now, Horvath is the highest driver that has been down pit lane to either take repairs or get his spare car. As Exton comes down to the line. 4 minutes left on the clock for the number 7 with a gap of 25 seconds to Doherty. That time his own personal best to 24.5. It looks like he's getting the hang of it.
It certainly does. He is just continuing to control the pace of this race, doing a very, very good job out front. Doesn't look like he's really going to be running up against any lap traffic here. Broomhead, the next car ahead of him, who is a good ways up the track, and Broomhead is very fast, so I don't think Exton will catch him before time expires.
This time by Horvath with a 24.2, Doherty 25.4. It's down to 2.5 seconds between this pair. This is our closest battle.
It is, and now, Joe, here, what I'm going to predict is in about a lap's time between that battle with Horvath and Doherty, we ride on board with Horvath again, that we are going to see a little bit of drafting start to come into play. That dirty air really, really helping. And for fans of Harlan Gelborn, I can say that he looks like he has spun off again coming through the southern loop after exiting the pits.
Yeah, he's all the way down in 8th, sadly. So his day went from bad to worse. Another fastest lap from Broomhead, that time at 24.070. Are we going to see a 123 potentially?
I think we might. If he continues on like this, he's been continually getting faster, and these cars are getting lighter as the race goes along, so a little bit more top speed to be able to pull it out.
Down to 1.9 seconds. Oh, but Horvath spun it coming into MG. It was tantalizingly close, and seems he pushed that little bit too hard.
Yeah, just the same error that we've seen so many guys make, carries a little bit too much speed into MG. And it looks like Todd Curtis has had a problem in that same spot as well.
Let's take a look at if Todd had the same problem or he did something unique. No, he went wide through Lukey Heights, it looks like. Oh, great hold of the car.
Yeah, really good job to catch it. And that's a very easy I know I say that a lot. This is a very easy track to make a mistake on. But coming through Lukey Heights like that, you've got to feather the throttle ever so slightly. And Dwyer heading it off as well.
Still running in 4th. We will have 2 laps to go. It'll be a little tight here, but why don't we hop on board with Exton? He's been so smooth this race. DJ, why don't you talk us around a lap of Phillip Island?
Well, here he comes, as you see there, exiting onto the main straightaway. Very, very long straight because it includes that sweeping turn 12. So here you're going to want to start to line up the car over to the left-hand side of the road and get ready for doing. This is going to be flat out a sweeping corner. Don't lift through there. And then you have to get the car back over to the right a little bit, get it wound back up, and get in around the southern loop. Late on the throttle there, as then you come back onto this mini straight. You're going to go through the sweeper of Stoner Corner here, and the important thing is on exit, you need to be all the way to the left to get ready for the heavy braking zone. Just before that 50-meter board, bring it down all the way to Honda. Late on the throttle to carry as much speed as possible. Now back up here into Siberia. Once again, late on the throttle, let the car run wide to carry as much speed as you can. Now, you're going to be relatively flat out here through the sweeping section of Hayshed and up to Lukey Heights. Now, once you get up to the crest, you pick your zone to feather the throttle. There you see Exton doing it very early. You got to keep the car to the far left as possible. Bring it down hard onto the brakes. Use the car's weight to slow the car as well, and then bring it back. Now, feather a little bit through here into turn 11. It's so hard to get right, and then you're back onto full throttle and onto the main straightaway.
Are we going to go for one more lap? This is going to be extremely tight. And Exton going way wide. He seems to be celebrating. And yes, checkered flag is out as Jacob Exton wins from 7th on the grid. Behind him, Doherty is still in P2. And he's got about 8.5 seconds back to Horvath, excuse me, as it looks like that spin just put paid to the hopes of Nick getting a P2 today. But how about James Doherty starting from 8th as well, up a good climb to get a podium, and Horvath coming home, started on the front row, tangled with his teammate, but he'll still get a podium in the end.
And it's a pretty good recovery drive there from Nick Horvath. Obviously disappointing to not be able to take the fight to James Doherty, but a good one nevertheless. And then again, speaking of recovery drives, here comes Dan Dwyer through the final sector of the track.
Yeah, ahead of him, Todd Curtis finishing a lap down, Broomhead a lap down in 6th, as Dwyer will be ahead of them, last car on the lead lap, snagging himself a 4th place. What could have been those? We've seen Dan take 3 wins in a row at the start of last season. He took 1 at the start of this season, but it hasn't returned to the top since, and it'll be just off the podium here today. That's going to take us to a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so don't go away. welcome back to Phillip Island. Our fourth round of Flying Husky Racing saw a new winner with a newcomer, Jacob Exton, going from seventh on the grid up to the lead, and even had that lead after the first lap. James Doherty followed him home by a distant 30 seconds in P2, with Nick Horvath being close to that P2 at one stage, but spun and settled for third. Fourth, halfway through the grid, DJ, went to Dan Dwyer.
It did indeed, and behind Dan to round out your top five was Todd Curtis, followed by Michael Broomhead and Nicholas Colander. Donald Gagne was in eighth, and Harlan Gelborn, despite running in second early on, retired from the race to come home in ninth.
That takes us to our winner here today, Jacob Exton, who joins us. Jacob, I'm kind of curious if you were as shocked as we were that after starting seventh on the grid, you were leading after the first lap.
Yeah, definitely. I got a late invite to this from Mike Broomhead, so I was pretty excited coming in, but I hadn't actually turned a lap on Phillip Island until about an hour before the race, so I knew the setup was a little oversteery, so my plan was just to take it a little easier on the first half a lap, and luckily a few of the gentlemen decided to clear a nice open path for me, so thank you very much to you gentlemen.
That and then some. Knowing that, did you back it off at all during the race? Because it was a pretty large gap for most of it.
I was trying to manage the gap for a little bit until I realized that Mike was in front of me. And obviously I've been racing with him for quite a while, so I was trying to peg myself to him without pushing too hard. So he seemed to have a bit of pace over me. My plan was just to try and keep it in the mid-24s. I figured that gap with the gap to second wasn't getting any smaller. So yeah, I was pretty comfortable out there.
Well, this is a great way to come in and make a splash, taking a victory. But can you follow up this sort of performance when we head off to Japan next week?
Oh yeah, my daddy raised me like this from a young age, so I'm ready to go. So yeah, the boys better be on watch because there's another boy in no new sheriff in town.
I love it. Well, we'll look out for you in Okayama. Congratulations. Who would you like to thank for this victory?
I got to thank my old man Nick. I don't even know if he's out there, to be honest, but yeah, he's my hero out there. And obviously, Mike for giving me the shout out for this today. I wouldn't be here without him. So yeah, thank you to him and the rest of the team, and for you guys for putting on a great show. Cheers.
That was Jacob Exton, our winner here today. Obviously pleased as punch about that one, but that takes us to second place. James Doherty, as DJ has caught up with him.
Well, James, a lot like our leader there, you kind of emerged from the carnage on the first lap to be able to hold down second, and then got into a great little battle with Harlan for the majority of the race. But how was it?
I was sweating the entire time. I had an anxiety attack about 3/4 of the way through.
It's not great, I would say. Are you all right? I mean,
No, I'm fine. I run with Nick all the time, and he's pushing me to get faster, so it's all good.
how much of a sigh of relief was it then when I'm sure you saw on your relatives that Nick had a spin and the gap started growing?
It was awesome.
Fantastic. Well, we go from Phillip Island, which I think is a circuit that not a lot of folks are necessarily all that familiar with, to kind of another one next week at Okayama. How do you think that's going to play out?
I'll be there. This is my first race actually ever in the F3. I'm getting ready for the next season of PRL. They're moving from the PM18 to the F3. And I've done plenty of Okayama laps in the Miata, so I think I'll be able to adjust pretty well.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye on it there. James, anybody you'd like to thank for this podium here tonight?
Just thank my team, Britannia iSports. Great group of guys. And yeah.
All right, well, thank you. That was James Doherty, your second place finisher. And now Joe Peak has caught up with Nick Horvath, your third place finisher.
Yeah, Nick, what a wild ride it was today. You qualified on the front row with your teammate, and then right in the very first corner, the two of you come together. What do you chalk that up to?
It was just a little bit of tunnel vision, really. I saw him spin, and I was just so focused on trying to get the toe off of him going into the second corner that I locked eyes with him and I couldn't get away.
That target fixation is a killer for sure. But from there, you took your spare car, you got back on your horse, and you were looking at a podium, even chasing down second place. You had another spin. Were you pushing too hard, or is that just the difficulty of this track and car combination?
No, I was pushing about as hard as I possibly could have. I ended up downshifting too fast, and I got a bad RPM, spun it around, and then I stalled it trying to spin it back around. But I managed to recover enough of that. I don't think I would have lived with myself if I wouldn't have got that third.
Well, I know none of us have a crystal ball, but with you and Mike starting on the front row, we kind of thought it would be more of a race between you two. If you hadn't have had that wreck at the start, do you think you could have managed to beat out your teammate?
Mike's a good driver. I'm learning a lot from him, and to be honest, I think I probably could with the way we raced during practice. I feel like it would have been at least a good race. Though he does have he has a lot more experience than I do, so I feel like he could have pulled something off.
Well, we got a little bit robbed. Hopefully we'll see something in Japan, but congratulations on a podium.
Thank you.
Nick Horvath, who finished third today. And finally, I do believe that DJ has caught up with Todd Curtis.
Hey, I have indeed, Todd. A fifth place for you here today on what was a very, very slippery track. It looks like you got to be pleased with that.
Yeah, I can't believe how much it heated up. You know, we were practicing a little bit earlier, and then it went up like 10 or 15 degrees Celsius. So that's like a lot of degrees. But we had to cope. A fairly new group coming together, but it got better as we went on. There was a couple of incidents early. Once we sort of settled through that, and there were a bunch of technical issues, and I think people were just a little stressed out because of it, but we settled into our groove, and there were some really good laps put down, and I'm excited to see what we can do together as this continues.
We are too. It definitely looked like some new guys to compete at the top and spice things up across the board. How excited are you then for the rest of the season with these new guys coming in, as well as Okayama next time out?
Yeah, I think it's a cool set of opportunities. You know, getting to know a new group of folks is always fun. Mixing that up with the people we've known and we've been with for a while. You know, new venues. I'd never driven this circuit before. I think that was the case for a few folks. Okayama is a fun place, and you got the Ferris wheel right there. So how can that not be fun to drive by that? You know, it's just a matter of ironing out some kinks. You know, anytime you have a little change, you work through it. But we're having a really good time. This is a great group, and we're going to continue to expand on what we have here. And once we sort through some of our technical issues, we had 3-4 people that were sort of knocking on the door trying to get in at the last minute. And with all appreciation to them, we'll make sure we get everybody in time next time. But thanks to you guys for the broadcast. That's really the glue that's kind of brought us all together, and what's made this elevate from a bunch of guys playing a video game to something that's a lot more entertaining, more interesting, more compelling overall. And we love it and want more of it.
Well, we absolutely love doing it, Todd. And thank you for providing us another wonderful race. And we wish you all the luck when we head out to Okayama next week.
Thanks for making us look good.
That was Todd Curtis with a 5th place here, and that wraps up our interview. So we're going to close out by once again thanking our sponsors, of course, Norsled being one of them. Save a Husky. For more information, contact Todd Curtis through email at todd@flyinghusky.racing, and Flying Husky Racing, of course. Find out more on the web at flyinghusky.racing. Flying Husky Racing, track days are the best days. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lamont, who provides our wonderful music. Check out the screen for how to find her Bandcamp for more music. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media through the outlets listed at the bottom of the screen. If you'd like to support us, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We also have a link in the description below, so it's nice and easy to get there. But don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment here on the Global Sim Racing channel. As we mentioned, the next race is Okayama. And apologies, I said it next week. It's 2 weeks from now, May 18th, on the next Tuesday at 11:30 p.m. Eastern. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. See you on the track.